Yo, welcome back to a new vid. This is the series where I read a chapter of a new book every single day and I come and tell you guys exactly what I've learned so that you guys don't have to do the reading yourself. Awesome. So, I like to preface these videos by saying that obviously the book I'm reading now, we're still on Atomic Habits, right? And you never want to live life on AFK. You always want to be aware of what you're doing on every single action, right? When it comes to atomic habits, the reason why it's called atomic habits, right, is your habits are like the actual atoms of your life when you really think about it, right? Like, and listen, I'm not speaking about this from a point of view of, I've got all the answers, but this is what I'm learning from the book and I'm realizing it for myself, right? So, where you are now in life, where you want to go in the future, like where you're going to end up, where you've been before in the past in life, it's all like a result of all the little actions that you do automatically on a daily basis without even thinking about it. It can be from brushing your teeth all the way up to you choosing to learn a new language every single day and you do a bit of learning on a daily basis until you get to a point where you're now fluent in another language, or you choosing to skip out on the gym or enough times over a certain amount of time, and at the same time, you might be eating fast food every single day over a long enough time horizon. Now it's 2026 and you're fat as hell. You just look like garbage, 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 garbage. It's all atomic. It's all these little actions that you do without really thinking about it. And when it adds up over a certain amount of time, it compounds, whether it's good or bad. That becomes your life. It becomes a total sum of your life. It's what you do every single day without thinking about it. So one thing I want to say, you never want to live life on AFK. You always want to be aware of what you're doing. If you want to be able to make the correct changes, improve the trajectory of your life, right? You've got to be able to do an audit, see where you're going wrong, see where you can improve. So you've actually got to be aware of what you're doing. Take a step back, think, the actions that you do on a daily basis, is this actually serving me or is it not serving me? I had to do this for myself. And, even nowadays, I find myself calling myself out when I'm in the middle of doing a bad habit. Like if I catch myself scrolling for too long, I literally say it out loud, yo, scrolling. And I go straight back to work because without being aware of what's going on, you're living life in AFK. Like, life's just gonna pass you by, I swear down. And you're gonna wake up in 10 years' time and you're gonna realize you just let your habits control you rather than you controlling your habits. Alright, so anyway, let's get back into the topic of this video. So what I've learned today is you've got to make the good habits satisfying, right? So I'm gonna start off with a story like I always do, right? Toothpaste. Toothpaste. When big corporations wanted to, you know, make brushing your teeth like a ritual on a wide scale, right? To really make the money they wanted to make, they had to make it attractive. They had to make the habit attractive. Originally, toothpaste had a more of a chemical taste. It didn't really taste that good, so people weren't really brushing their teeth every single day. But then what they did was, all these big brands, is they added like peppermint flavors, different flavors to make the feeling of brushing your teeth satisfying. And at the end, you get that taste of, oh, my mouth feels clean, right? So it becomes a ritual. And look at us today. Everyone brushes their teeth. If you don't brush your teeth today, you're a tramp. And how did they make this like such a phenomenon, right? This is probably the most common habit of all time, brushing your teeth, like in the modern day, right? Well, I know for me it is anyway. You know what I'm saying? But that's my point. For them to make this so popular, right? For them to make this like a staple in everyone's day, they had to make it attractive. And if we look at it from a science point of view, right, the reason why they had to do that and the reason why that worked is we're built, we've got ancient hardware, right? We've got ancient hardware, we've got ancient software. Yeah, we're in an age right now where it's like super, you know, instant gratification, super delayed gratification. Like anything that's worth having in the future or worth achieving, it's gonna take you putting in effort and not seeing results for a long amount of time. But that's not the way we're wired. We always need an instant hit of dopamine. We're like little rats, bro. We're like fiends. It's crazy. So our ancestors are hunter gatherers, right? They're hunter gatherers. So being in a position where you're you're seeking instant gratification back then in a hunter-gatherer society was super, super, super beneficial. Why? Because being in a hunter-gatherer society back then, like you had to you couldn't really think about next year or even next month. It has to be, I need to eat today, and there's gonna be dangers that are instant, like a lion might jump out at you, you know, a storm might come, you've got to go and find shelter. So, you finding food now ensures survival. Back then, it was more from a survival standpoint. So, from a survival standpoint, instant gratification, instant dopamine is super, super helpful. But the sad thing is, we don't actually live in that kind of world anymore where, you know, instant gratification stuff is even beneficial. Most things that are instant gratification are things that aren't good for you long term. So the quicker the gratification, the worse it generally is for you, whether it's smoking, whether it's vaping, whether it's watching porn, whether you're eating fast food rather than making a healthy meal, you know, whether it's scrolling on social media rather than reading a book, right? Whether it's scrolling on a dating app rather than going out and meeting a woman in person. Like anything that's instant gratification. You know what? I might take out dating from that because dating apps, I think it saves time, especially if you're a busy guy. It makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But like honestly, like I mentioned, the longer the gratification is, the better it is for yourself. Now, unfortunately, all the habits that are actually beneficial to us long term, like going to the gym, walking, learning, reading, meditating, journaling, all of these habits, they're not really instant gratification, it's delayed gratification. Anytime you want to learn a new skill, get better at something, it's delayed gratification. So, what can you do? Knowing that your brain is always searching for the next instant, quick dopamine fix, use that to your advantage. Same way the scientists did it with the toothpaste, think about it for yourself, right? Let me actually think about an example for myself on how I've done this. Okay, I'll give you one for example. So right now it's July. I said to myself, yo, listen, I'm gonna stay inside this whole month, right? And obviously I've been in Portugal for the last few months. Now I'm back in the UK. I'm back with all my friends that I grew up with, my close friends, etc. So I'm kind of tempted to go out on the weekends if there's any events, parties, that kind of thing. But I promised myself for the whole of July, I'm gonna stay indoors, right? Now, whenever I give up on the urge, whenever I beat the urge to go out, spend some money, I'm gonna end up drinking. I'm not an alcoholic. I know that sounds like I'm mad alcoholic, but I'm gonna end up doing things that aren't gonna set me up for success long term, right? So I'm pairing it with something else to make it satisfying for me, right? So as you can see, I'm starting to getting, this is like a fresh tat, right? It's a fresh tat. This one's not done yet, but it's still healing, right? So I know that I want to get a lot more tattoos, right? I want to get a lot more. So what I'm going to do is every single time I pass upon the opportunity to go out, and have fun this summer, right? I'm going to put the money that I would have spent going out into a tattoo fund. And then when I get to the price of a full day session, which is £450, then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get another tattoo, like a full day session, right? So what I'm doing is refraining from doing the bad habit, and what's allowing me to keep going and keep refraining from it is that I'm getting an instant reward, which is seeing money go into my tattoo pot. So I know that every time I resist this urge, I'm getting the instant dopamine of, it's like, yo, you're edging closer to your next tattoo. That's literally one example, right? Think about it for yourself. How can you do this to make it fun? Gamify life, man. Life needs to be a game. Like I was saying to my boy yesterday, like we're in the same field. We've got similar goals. We were planning like our next 6 months, right? And I literally said to him like, yo, I can literally see this. It's like a game. Like I know that I've got to work super hard to get a certain amount of coins. When I've got a certain amount of coins, then I can invest in this machine that harvests elixir at 2x more speed. But to do that, I need to learn the spells for it, and then reinvest that money when I'm making 2x elixir into going on to this next map where I can defeat these dragons, but I can get armor that's made out of, I don't know, vibranium, something like that. That's how I see life, right? I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, kind of talking about, you know, like a magical world, but that's how I see life. You gotta gamify things, right? Make things easy for yourself. Yeah, man, that's pretty much it, to be fair. Like, honestly, when it comes to stopping a bad habit or encouraging yourself to do new ones, you want make sure engineer it in a way where it's like, yo, you can get an instant dopamine hit from doing the right thing. If you can get an instant dopamine hit from doing the right thing, even when it's not really there, but if you can force a way to get an instant dopamine hit from doing the right thing, bro, you're onto a winner. Like, sit down with Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, you know, AI engine of your choice. Find the different ways where you can engineer, you know, a reward for you doing the right thing. And when your body starts to learn, when your brain starts to learn, yo, I get this reward every time I do the right thing, boom, automatic. So you're still, you know, quenching the thirst, like the lizard part of your brain that really wants that instant dopamine hit. But at the same time, you're not sabotaging your future. And this, my friends, is how you make good habits satisfying. Catch you tomorrow. That's all for today.